Hi, this is Chantel Taylor, host of Shining Stars. So happy to have today with us two shining stars in the Zion Benton community. Our focus is always the heart behind community service. The city of Zion, for which we're all lifelong residents sitting here, has been hit with some tough times in recent days. It's made it all the way to national news in regards to a patient coming from out of town to our city was killed over at the Cancer Treatment Center. Very sad. Then a couple of weeks even before that, a young man lost his life at the gas station because of a stabbing. I have two gentlemen seated on both sides of me that are very vested in the Zion Benton community. In reference to the youth, hundreds of families, both of them have had the privilege and the honor to help bring about positive impact, and we're going to just hear their heart behind community service and just kind of talk about some things happening right here in our very own community. And we're going to focus it around safety and what we can do to continue to have Zion be a community that children and families can be safe. First, I want to introduce you all to David Osborne. He is the director of the Zion Park District Herman Park Center. He's been doing that for over 20 years, actually almost 25 years now, outside of being in the military, and after he graduated from college, just brought his talents right back here to home. And on my right here, I have a young man, Jonathan Hadnott, also another homegrown Zionite that took the time to do some college, and then after that he helped found a great youth organization, North Shore Elite, that helps many young people, hundreds of families, do positive things, win state championships. I mean, on both sides of me here today are gentlemen that are not only vested in the Zion community, but they care about the bad headlines as well as helping to make the good headlines. So we're going to begin this conversation with David Osborne, because David is someone that just has a lot of insight into, hey, what can we do to avoid some of the crime situations that have happened? And David, can you just kind of share with us what are some of the things that you believe that we can do in our Zion community to help bring about what we need to see happen to keep our children safe?
Well, first of all, majority of the crimes that has been going on and things have not been committed by our youth. The good thing is that we need to keep our youth occupied. Mm-hmm. We need to increase community service with our police department to get to know these kids, mm-hmm. Whether you're on a personal level, so that these young kids, when they see things, they're not people doing things that they shouldn't, or see crimes going on that the police may not be aware of, mm-hmm. that these young people feel comfortable to approach these officers and let them know aware of some of the things that are going on.
Right.
But they can't do this unless our officers increase our community action with the youth, mm-hmm. and to develop some type of friendship with them so that they know that they can trust them and they can come to them when there's a problem and know that these officers are going to listen, mm-hmm. and do things to help them.
Mm-hmm. And with that being said, Shining Stars, we have, featured a local officer that, has a program and he does things with the children in the community. But one of the things that you're sharing with David is that it needs to be like a really big department-wide goal and focus, that more than just one officer developing a relationship with the youth in the community.
Yeah, well, Matt Thornton, he's the officer, and he does a great job. Mm-hmm. It's just that, there needs to be more Matt Thorntons. There need to be more David Osbornes. There need to be more Joe Hagnotts, right. and Chantel Taylors, right. and the few individuals in Zion that are reaching out to our community. Right. This is an entire community. It's just not one ethnic background. We have all ethnic backgrounds here. And as a family-oriented city, you have to keep that going. You can't just say that some neighborhoods we used to have this going on to where we could say this to a child and a parent wouldn't get mad if a grown-up approach a child that we know that's doing something wrong,
Right.
and that adult accepts that, you know, and not get mad about a parent saying something to them.
Right.
You know, it was a time that if you go home and you say, well, this parent said something to me, that parent would be like, well, what did you do?
Right.
Instead of jumping on the defensive and coming to approach that parent with something negative, instead of going to them for doing something positive towards their children.
Right, right. And David, you as well as Jonathan, you know, again, we are amongst the crowd when it's the community safe walks and it's the different initiatives that are occurring in the community. But can you just share with me, how does it feel to you when you see Zion on national news, you know, in the negative spotlight? And you did mention the comfortable relationships, and I know, Jonathan, you probably have something brewing on the inside now, but, you know, just, you know, as we, you know, kind of continue to move towards this area when it comes to community relationships, can you also just kind of elaborate a little bit on the youth and trust? Can you help us understand what more has to happen in that area, you think, for Zion?
Well, first of all, as far as the national media, it's devastating.
Yeah.
You know, you never want to see your town on a national media scene.
That's right.
For something negative.
Right.
You know, if you want your town recognized, you want them recognized for something, the good things that are going on.
Yes.
You know, not for something bad as a crime, you know, or death,
right.
or a robbery, or anything of that sort. You know, you want to be recognized as a community that's doing good things, and not just for our city, but the connecting cities.
That's
you know,
right.
I feel that Zion, Beach Park, and Winter Harbor, it's like, even though we separated them as 3 towns, yet this is still one town.
That's right.
You know, we have the same zip code.
Right.
So with that being said, that things that are going on, yeah, they can be stopped.
Right.
You know, some of the negativity that has been done from this can be made positive.
Okay.
You know, we can be made aware that yes, there are bad things that's going to happen, but there's precautionary measures that can be done to prevent some of these.
Right.
You know,
right.
you got areas where if crime is more in that area, well, we increase the police presence.
Right.
The more the police presence, the guys that are out there doing these crimes, the least they're going to want to do that with a police person sitting right there.
Right, right. And something I just kind of want to just lighten it up a little bit and just help us all kind of relax as we move into this conversation. Again, we are all lifelong Zion residents that only want to see the best come of our community. It's kind of cool that both of these gentlemen seated by me are both Zion Benton Township High School graduates. And again, they not only are talking the talk right now, but they are walking the walk. I mean, right when Jonathan leaves here today, you know, he's on his way to football practice, and just, you know, just the things that they, it's coming from the heart. So far we've been able to hear David identify the trust and the relationships that are needed. And also, let's kind of point out that personally, David doesn't think that, especially the recent crimes, were done by a young person.
No?
Yeah, so we'll move back into that a little bit, but again, so far we've identified trust and relationships. And now we'll move over here to Jonathan Hadnott. And Jonathan, just kind of get your thought to interject in with us, you know, because we all feel this. Anytime it's a death, anytime it's a major crime situation happening in our community, it hurts all of us.
Right.
John's not that young. He's over there.
Okay, John is over David, I've been sharing. Okay. All right, old man, so can you help us understand from your point of view, how are you feeling dealing with all the youth and driving around the city and seeing the safety posters and, you know, again, here Zion is again on headline news because of something negative. How do you feel?
Right, well, totally disappointed because that's not the community I grew up in. That's number one. David hit all the talking points right on the head about, you know, investing in our youth, police accountability, and even parent accountability.
Right.
He touched on a little bit about. I know, and David can probably attest to this too. When we were younger, you know, it was. I don't want to sound too cliche. It was a village. It was technically a village that raised us all. And we knew each other's parents, and we knew each other's cousins and nephews and uncles. We knew the police officers. We knew everybody in the community. So it was a tough to get away with some of the slights that kids get away with now. So I walk the community now, in some faces I see strange faces, even from the adults, and that wasn't always the case here in Zion, because it's a small town. It is a family oriented town. So
and just to interject a little bit, Jonathan, do you feel the same way as David, that you don't think it was a young person that killed that cancer patient? You think that it was?
No. It's someone. I think that's pretty calculated. I don't think it was an accident.
Okay.
I think it was someone who was treacherous. I think someone who. I really don't think it's someone who belongs in our community.
You don't even think it was someone that was Zion?
No.
Okay, that's interesting, because again, we also had a very scary armed robbery recently over at one of the auto stores, where not only did the person come in there and brandish the weapon to the clerk where the cash register was, but customers right there. And again, this is happening in our community. I mean,
Right.
we have so long watched many of these things happen in Chicago, which is just some miles away from us, but not much. But now it's happening a little too often in Zion.
Right.
And again, here we are, lifelong positive Zion residents. How do you feel about that? And I'll take it another level. David, he mentioned, you kind of piggyback, saying that those were great talking points when it comes to relationships,
Right.
Positive relationships with the police department, and then youth being able to trust. This is a good one that I would like for both of you to answer, because even my honor student, we all have children, that have gone through school or are in school now, was something huge that we need to pay attention to. And if it continues to get out of hand, then we'll just be, unfortunately, another community with bad thing after bad thing happening. But here it is. I'll start with you, David. The no snitch rule. What do you think about that?
I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I believe that if you see something and you want something changed, that you have to say something.
Right.
Change is made by voicing voices,
Right.
and you can't do it, unless, and I don't believe that a lot of these kids believe in this no snitch rule.
Okay.
I believe that they're just not comfortable.
Okay.
That they're made comfortable to certain adults in authority, they would tell.
Okay.
Certain things eats it away at a person.
Right.
When they see something go wrong, or if something's going on, a person's being bullied, sooner or later, there's things going on with that person that you should pick up on.
Okay.
They're not going to just go through a normal day like nothing is happening. They're going to try to give you signals for you to pick up.
Okay.
And it's your responsibility as an adult or a person that cares about individuals,
Right.
that you pay attention and pick up on these things.
Right. Right.
I pick up on things all the time around here with
Right.
these young men and these kids. They come up here to play basketball. I can pick up if one has some stuff going on that he's taking out on that court.
Right.
And I pull them off the court and say, hey, what's going on, dude? Because if they come in here and out the blue, all of a sudden they want to argue and they want to fuss and
Right,
get
right.
in people's face, I know it's something going on, because this didn't just happen in that one play.
Right. That's true.
And these are
Something
incidents that go on a lot of time where people bring other things into play, and the people that don't pick up on these things, and bad things happen.
Oh.
Because sometimes we don't think about it, or we turn our head or the other cheek, and we be like, oh, they'd be all right, but we know. And then when something bad happens, here's always somebody always coming up saying, well, you know what? I thought something was different about
Right.
that person.
Right. So again, your resounding truth today, David, is going to be comfortable relationships for our youth, and then community trust.
And awareness.
And awareness, because I know something that you had also mentioned, and I know Jonathan can probably chime in on that as well, having led, the North Shore Elite to state championships, club sponsorships, and David, and speaking with him earlier, talked about businesses sponsoring, really stepping up and sponsoring some of these community events that would really help us, and when it comes to curtailing crime. Jonathan, what's your thought on that no snitch rule? Because it's real. I mean, it's It's real from grade school to high school to being on the street. Like right now, I have to believe because the Cancer Treatment Center, they actually have a $25,000 reward to give to someone if they were willing to state what they knew, and it led to an arrest of that out-of-town person that came to our city and was killed. What do you think about that no snitch rule?
Well, I like David, I don't believe in that no snitch thing. I believe in personal accountability. That's number one. And you're right. Someone knows something, and they should come forward and say something. And again, and that's what leads me to believe that it can't be someone who's vested in our community that's involved in this, because believe me, Dave loves the city. You love the city. I love the city.
All do.
And and people who feel like us and share that same sentiment would step forward and say something if they knew something.
Right.
However,
I guarantee the majority of the residents, and when I say majority, I'm talking at least 99%, are outraged by this whole situation.
Absolutely.
Because you think about it, that could be anybody's parent. This happened a block and a half away from my house.
Wow.
And this could be anyone's parent just sitting out in their front yard, just trying to get some air and fresh air at nighttime. And somebody walks up on them and strikes them with something,
My Lord.
And we don't want that. You was growing up in these neighborhoods where we would walk these streets at nighttime. Maybe not now.
Safely.
You think twice, but when I walk my dog. And of course, at nighttime.
It's a big old German Shepherd.
Yeah, but I do have a little one that she comes along too. But Destiny. Sorry, but outside of that, we want to believe that these neighborhoods are safe and that we can do these things and we can sit on our porch and laugh and talk at nighttime and not have to worry about somebody walking by and feeling like insecure about our where we at, in our presence or where we're going and everything.
What are we gonna do? I mean, I've been in Zion since I was 4 years old, and I've lived on different parts of the city, and what are we gonna do? What is a suggestion that you have? Because again, not only do we have the negative media, this really sad thing that happened in our community, but on an ongoing basis now, people are brandishing guns in the stores, and on top of what's already been a crime where people's homes have been broken into. What do you think is something that we could do to help turn it around, or if anything?
Well, there's actually a number of things, Chantel. I mean, when you talk about tiers, we discussed this before. There are different levels. There are different tiers. One of the things, one of my pet peeves with the city is absentee landlords. When absentee landlords are not regulated in a way where they can really screen the folks that they bring into our city to make sure that they're responsible and productive people. I think you can start there. I think some of the ordinances that are in place we can probably expand on and talk more about how do we hold people accountable in that regard in a couple of different ways. I'll give you an example. Like we could drive down the street and there are more people walking in the middle of the street than there are cars on the street. Those are little nuances, and right there is confrontation waiting to happen. In a lot of regards.
Do you honk your horn to this group of youth, or do you drive past? What do you do?
And more times you honk your horn, they think it is an adversary thing, and I'm saying it's a safety thing. So I see it as a safety thing. Say, hey, I'm coming down the street.
Is that what you do?
Oh yeah.
You honk the horn?
I will honk the horn.
Okay.
And sometimes
do you honk the horn? What do you do?
And he yelled out the window too. I'm pretty sure David is yelling out the window too. Get out of the street.
That has been a concern. People are afraid.
Honk my horn. Most of the kids know me, or the people know me. Sometimes I've even hit the gas. But majority of the time, I was slow up, but the kids, that just in the middle of the street and stuff. No, I don't blow my horn because first of all, you see a car coming. And they don't have bumpers. They know if they get hit by that car, it's going to hurt. What they're doing is they're trying to see who's going to step down first.
Right.
Or is it going to be you, or is it going to be them? And no, you
Right.
don't want a confrontation, because you know that the kids are trying to show off in front of the kids.
Right.
I would give you an example. I was out walking my dog one night, me and my girl, and we came across these girls in the park at Shallow Park. It was 9 o'clock at night,
Okay.
pitch black.
Oh,
These
boy.
girls had to be 8th grade, 9th grade.
Okay.
There's no reason, number one, that they should have been in the park
Right.
that late,
Right.
because Shallow Park is pitch black at
It's dark.
nighttime.
It needs
Okay.
more lights, right?
So
There's not a safe place for
the one young lady was
Yeah.
playing with a lighter on the wood that
Oh,
holds up
wow.
the shelter, right?
Okay.
And I told her to stop. I said, you shouldn't be doing that. You know, hey, I'm an official of the park district, and, you know, matter of fact, you ladies shouldn't even be in the park. It's after 9 o'clock, the park closed at dusk, you know, you gotta go. Oh, you're a grown man. You have nothing better to do but to come and tell some girls what they should be doing like you, their parent. I said,
Wow.
look, young lady, I've seen a lot of things happen. All I'm telling you is, you know, the park is closed. You're here playing with a lighter. You know,
Wow.
you guys gotta go.
Right.
And well, you know, we ought to call the police on you. I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna do one better. I'm gonna call the police. All right.
Right.
So
Right.
I called the police. A few minutes later, the police show up. Of course, they had already left, you know, and so they was looking for him, and they ended up saying they ran into the girls over by the library.
Oh, okay.
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 But the thing about it was, the girls were rude. I didn't disrespect them. I didn't
Right.
swear at them.
Right.
I gave them my name,
Right.
first and last name. I gave them my title
Okay.
of what I was and what
Right.
I was to the park district.
Exactly.
You know,
to the community.
so
Right.
first of all, if you went home
Mhm.
and they said something about, we ran into this guy at the park, his name was David Osborne. He was trying to tell us we had to go home.
Right.
That you had everything you needed, because I told him my name.
Right.
I told him was my title,
Right.
and I told him where I was employed.
Right.
You know,
That's
so.
very good.
But then yesterday, while at Shallow Park, at the snack bar, talking to Brother Willie,
Yes.
you know, we was going over some things. He had took a group of boys out Saturday to Chicago.
Okay.
And I couldn't go with them because we were supposed to have a 3-on-3 tournament out here that got rained out.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm talking to him, and one of the girls was off to the side that was being smart that night
Oh, wow.
with this other group of girls, right?
Okay.
So she's over there steady talking, and I hear her, and you know, she's like, he can hear you, and she's like, I don't care, you know. So I'm sitting there, I get out my car, you know, and I walk over and I said, you know what? I said, there's no reason for you to be disrespectful.
Right.
I said, when I saw you that night, honey, I was looking out for you.
Right.
I didn't want nothing bad to happen to you,
Right.
just like if it was my daughter.
Exactly.
That's why I approach you young ladies. There was 3 of y'all, there was no guys out there, and that's why I approach you, because I didn't want nothing to happen to you. Well, I don't need you to worry about me. You ain't my daddy.
Wow.
I said, of course I'm not your daddy. But maybe if your daddy was here
Right.
and he saw you that night,
Wow.
maybe he would have told you too
The exact
to go
same thing.
home, because he didn't want nothing to happen to his daughter.
Right.
You know,
Right.
well, I didn't gotta listen to you, especially the way you was dressed. Now, normally, I'm dressed nice, okay? That particular day, I'm over here repainting a fence outside, so I had a meeting that morning with some dress clothes, but I
Right.
took my dress pants off, had my little gym shorts on,
Sure.
with my dress socks
Just taking a walk
and
around
tennis
the
shoes, and I just
Right.
went by Mr. Willie, you know,
Right.
now get me a hamburger, and
Okay.
see how Saturday went.
Right.
And some of the girls was up there from, you know, from the school,
Wow.
being smart.
Okay.
Now, somebody else might have swore at the girls, you know, swore at the
Right,
girl and
right.
everything, but, you know, like I told Miss Maul, there's no reason for me to, because she was there, Beverly Maul, I said, there's no reason for me to snap at these children. I said,
Right.
you know what, all I can do is try to point her in the right direction, let her know why I approached her. It had nothing to do with what color she was or anything. The bottom line was she was a young lady that I knew was underage to be in the park by herself,
At night.
and
dark.
I didn't want nothing to happen to them.
Right. And yeah, and that goes back to our relationship and trust.
Yeah.
That's follow through. Again, here we are, shining stars, talking to some shining stars in the Zion Benton community about ways that we can help shed some light in some dark times that we're pushing through currently when it comes to an uptick of crime in our community. We're talking about ways that, again, we can help our youth be straight and do better. but then also coming up with some positive solutions. And Jonathan, you were going to say something before I gave you the next question?
Well, just to go back, just to piggyback what we were talking about as far as, again, accountability and responsibility. You know, a girl, respect, let's go back to respect, because that's one of the other signs.
Right.
I mean, if you're a teenage girl and a man, regardless if it's an adult, there's got to be a level of respect there where you at least acknowledge it, and you may not have to embrace it, you may have to leave the area, but you don't try to be confrontational, for lack of a better term. And I think that stems from the home.
Right.
A lot of that stems from the home.
It does.
And I'm putting everybody on, if my kids or anyone I'm responsible for is in a situation where they're being disrespectful or to any adult, regardless of the situation. You know, I know my daughter would know much better than to take that tone. Right. And I think if we as parents go back to that principle and share with our kids to say, hey, listen, you know, if you don't want confrontation, then put yourself in that situation.
Right.
Being in the Shiloh Park at 9 o'clock at night with a lighter is not a good situation for anyone, not even an adult. I mean, in that regard. Right. And so for you to be 3 strikes with a lighter underage and with no adult supervision leads me to believe you at least show some type of contrition or be contrite about, hey, I got caught, I'm sorry, and move along.
Right. Jonathan, I have a question for you, because this has been an ongoing community conversation as well. I'm sure at some point we will have an opportunity to reach out to the library as well. But what do you think about people in the Zion-Benton community? Here we have this beautiful library, but to be quite honest, the word on the street is people don't feel safe going there. What do you say about that?
Well, again, it's one of those things.
That's your neighborhood. Actually.
That's my neighborhood.
It
is my neighborhood. And again, it's one of those situations where kids are just running rampant with no adult supervision. You know, I know David could tell you, and I could tell you, our parents knew where we were. As young people, David would get the Cadillac. We would do our thing in the Cadillac. But, you know, our parents knew where we were, regardless of that situation. I think that we've lost sight of that right there. I think that personal accountability. And again, I'm not going to talk down on any parents who are working hard, trying to provide for their. I understand that. But with the longer hours, now we have technology that kind of supports that with a text message or a telephone call to say, hey, you know, listen, here's the schedule, here are the rules, and abide by that, and then hold the child accountable for that.
And the phone to let you know where the child is at.
Right, you have phones with technology to say, hey, this dot tells me you at the library, or the dot tells me now you're at Salem Food Mart and you're supposed to be at the library. Right. And then get an answer for that. So.
Right. So now do you have any suggestions when it comes to, like, say, not just out-of-town visitors, but some people that because a lot of people we know, have been in Zion residents now maybe 5, years.
Right. Not
as long as us, when it comes to being vested in the community, but they're afraid to go to the library. Any suggestions on that?
Well, they shouldn't be afraid to go to the library. That's number one. I go there quite a bit, and actually I can tell you that it's safe. You may run into a situation where some kids, again, a little mouthy, and it could be a little intimidating. Again, a thing that stems from home on how to teach your kids to, and to enhance their social skills, to know the difference between how do you talk to an adult versus how you talk to your friends, and I think a lot of parents are friends with their kids, to be honest with you, and I think they're sending a mixed message in that regard. Right. So when you say, hey, it's okay to talk to me that way, that kid goes out into the real world. It's going to usually share what he's learned at home more times than not. And so, as David alluded to earlier, if we're cussing and swearing and saying whatever we want around our parents, why not it be okay to say to Mrs. Hadnott or Mrs. Osborne or Mr. Taylor, whatever the case, from a safety standpoint, I don't want to see a security guard at the library. that shouldn't be a way. I don't want to. I know a lot of people want to say, "Hey, let's
You
put
don't
a
wanna
security
see-
guard, and we're going to kick all the kids out."
Do you think
No.
that, do you have that same view? You don't want to see a security guard there?
I may not want to see it there myself, but if it would make people more comfortable and it's going to increase the presence of people there, then I prefer that. You know, I prefer to have people more comfortable and secure in a place where they're going to be. You're going to see security, you know, everywhere these days. It's a lot of stuff going on,
Right.
you know.
It is.
But my thing with these kids, you know, I'm stricter on the boys than I am with the girls. But when I'm talking to these boys and everything, I talk to them as if they're my sons, not my friends. Same way with my summer camp.
Right.
You know, I let my boys know the first day of camp, under no circumstances are you to put your hands on my girls.
Right.
Think of all these little girls as my daughters. If you come to my office and you put your hand on one of these girls, whatever trouble you normally get in, it's going to be tripled.
Right.
Okay? I don't care what they do. You come and let me know, and I deal with it.
Very good.
You know, and I tell the girls the same thing. Don't you be putting your hands on these boys. You know, these boys are heavy-handed. I don't want them putting their hands on you.
That is
if they
absolutely-
disrespectful, you come to me.
That's right.
And they do. And these kids, you know, they come over here and they may not be as respectful as at home, but they come here and these kids, some of these kids you wouldn't even know the difference. They're such sweethearts when they come through that door. First thing out their mouth is, "Good morning, Mr. David." And if it's not out their mouth, you know, I let them know to let it come out.
Right.
You know, and they get in the habit of that. And I see
That's
them in Walmart, and I see them places and stuff, and they be like, "Oh, man, there go Mr. David." The moms and dads, you know, they speak to me.
That's
If somebody, one of them come home and say Mr. David fussed at me, or one of the boys said, well, he grabbed me by my shirt, you know, which is not Park District policy, to put our hands on the kids,
Right.
okay?
Right.
But sometimes, you know, I have to grab them up and stuff, you know. But when they go home and they tell mom or dad that Mr. David did it, majority of these moms and dads is sometimes kids or cousins have played in my program or attended summer camp here over the last 25 years.
Right.
And they know that Mr. David is not going to mistreat no kids.
That's right.
That when they come here, they're going to be treated just as if they're mine. They're going to be protected. Nobody's
That's
going to
right.
hurt them. Nobody's going to abuse them, call them names, or mistreat them, no matter what. And that's the way
Something
it should be going anywhere.
That's right.
School, church, library, any public place we go that we want to send our kids, we want them to feel safe.
Right. Again, I want to interject to those that are tuned in to this Shining Stars episode. On my right and on my left are two vested individuals, basically unsung heroes in the Zion Benton community. I can honestly say over 100, probably over thousands of children have had the opportunity in one way or another to be tutored or under the tutelage of David Osborne or Jonathan Hadnott. Not because they are doing it for title or anything else, but they do it because they care. And thank God they are individuals that have a vested interest in the Zion community. It's always great for Shining Stars viewers to be able to hear the heart behind community service. Well, here it is. David is so right about the young boys that are here, and many of them, the families would know them. My very own son, as well as my husband, came through the Park District basketball program where Jonathan was a coach and was the coach and director before football. Yes, you know, it is just a wonderful opportunity and honor that I have to be here right now to host and to have you all hear the heart, because Zion has never been all bad. Zion has a lot of great people and a lot of great leaders like Jonathan, like David. One of the things, again, David talked about, and I'd like to just kind of share a little bit on this before we go into what we do next and kind of wrap it up with some final thoughts from both of you. But David, you kind of spoke on something a little bit earlier when you talked about things to avoid crime, some things that could have happened to avoid crime if more community vested interest would happen.
Yes.
Can you describe what you were talking about?
I'm talking about if our community officers be more friendly with the kids,
Okay.
interact. And I'm not just talking about when I am standing on the street corner or sitting out in my car when the kids are walking home, to make sure that there's no fighting going on or whatever, okay? It doesn't hurt to get out sometime and shoot the breeze with these kids, you know,
Right.
go to the court where they hang out, go to the baseball field where
Right.
they hang out, ask to throw them a pitch, play catch with them,
Right.
you know, interact with these kids on their level. Don't always make it be on your time and the time that you're doing something. Take some extra time out to let them know that, yeah, you do care about them, that you're invested in your community and you want the best for them.
That's right. That's very good.
You know, my kids are gone as far as me raising them through the Park District and the Zion
Right.
school system.
Right.
And I have no complaints. I'm very happy with the Zion school system, and my sons and daughters play youth basketball, little league baseball, t-ball, peanut, you know.
And then
My
you
son
said-
has countless trophies at the house, and
On top of graduating with lots of honors as well as, you know, accolades that you were just sharing with us as well.
and coming back, you know, constantly
Very
coming back here, playing basketball, talking to the kids, you know. And it's not just my kid, you know. I got the Andre Whites, MacArthur White, Julian Lott, you know, Donnie Osborne, Malik Yarbrough, Marcus Yarbrough, Quentin Love, you know. I got countless kids that have started in the youth basket program, went on to star at Zion Benton, some that went to college, and some could have went to college, you know, with the right guidance. You know, we've had some superstars come through here, and I feel with the right guidance, some of them could have went pro. And the
Wow.
ones that haven't went pro are doing other things. You know, Andre White, he's recently became the head varsity coach of Elgin High School. You know,
Nice, nice.
and you know that's just wonderful.
That's awesome.
You know, because he started playing in my youth basketball program when he was in like 5th grade,
Wow.
and he was one of the better players all the way through. But you know, he had to deal with certain things as far as not winning.
Okay.
You know, being made to be a leader,
Right.
not always having the best team.
Right.
Because that's another thing we did. We never stacked the team. If I had a player that I knew was a superstar, I put players around him that he could make better.
Right.
You know, and build, you know, leadership qualities in them.
That's
And
outstanding.
when those guys got to the high school level, you know, and it wasn't about trying to give the Park District or my program the praise for getting them there. It was all about seeing them on that level and knowing, you know, within myself that we had something little to do with it.
Very good. I believe you had a lot to do with it, and I thank you for that. Because
Thank
I
you.
think it's tremendous. And again, it just goes back to the community officers and comfortable with relationships and then building that trust. That's huge for a community. And no matter what a national headline would say, you can see right here, Zion has a heart that cares about our youth and about our streets. Jonathan, would you like to add on to that?
Well, like David said, getting to know the kids, the easiest way to do that is to coach and get involved with them at some level. I know when we played Little League Baseball, there were police officers that actually coached us. I mean,
Okay.
there were other opportunities. I remember being at Central Junior High where the police officers would play Chicago Bears, and
Cool.
we'd actually see them out of uniform and different. We would see Officer Malcolm and out of uniform playing basketball, and we're like, wait a minute, this guy's
Ronnie Ransom.
and Ronnie Ransom. You know, they would play basketball with us and hang out with us and chat with us, not, you know, in a defensive manner, just say, hey, listen, you know.
And even Dave Fisher, before he died,
Yeah.
used to let us
Wow.
come and play basketball in his backyard because the park next to him didn't have a basketball court.
Right.
You know, and that was our neighborhood park. And he'll let us come over there and play basketball, you know. The rim get broke, they'll put another one up.
That's
Right.
awesome.
And that's the essence, and I think those are like little tiny solutions that
Right.
I can think offhand that would, number one, get the officers engaged with the kids and to get them at an early age. Number
Right.
one, there's the trust piece that can be established at that point.
Sure.
And then
sure.
it's kind of tough when you go into a situation where you're going to go in to arrest a kid, you see the kid, and you're like, that's not your character. This is out of character for you. let me have this conversation before we get all this red tape and paper
Right.
on you that's going to follow you.
Right.
Can we have a conversation to prevent this?
Exactly.
And I think that's something that we can do in the immediate future if we can, number one, engage the police department, engage the city, and find out if the resources are available.
Okay.
And if nothing else, can we do one-offs every once in a while? Can we get the police and the fire to
do
play
a game.
do a charity basketball game?
David actually mentioned that when we were doing
Yeah.
some talking. He mentioned that actually used to happen before, you said, right?
come out and officiate
Basketball and
games and-
baseball.
We had a men's basketball league, the fire department, police department, the high school, District 6, which include all the elementary schools, Public Works, and the Zion Park District.
Nice. So that's something that we should look to try to bring back.
Right. I really
We've
think
even had baseball tournaments where
Wow.
against Public Works and the police department and the
Okay.
fire department, you know.
Okay.
But
Excellent.
schedules now are conflicting, and
Right.
people are not willing
Time.
to make the time to want to do it, you know.
Right. But we have to do something because, again, we want to be able to have our children work in a community where we don't feel like they're going to get robbed.
Right.
If they work at the dollar store or if they, want to work at the AutoZone, we want to be able to create safe atmospheres. One thing that we did talk about with both of you is how a lot of times in our community, people can talk the talk, but who's really
Right.
walking the walk and really being the doer. So as we wrap up this episode of Shining Stars, I think it's been great for the community to be able to hear from both of your hearts. But, Jonathan, we'll start with you on, right now, Zion is in that area. I mean, it's a lot going on,
Mhm.
negative-wise. But what do we do next to help promote positivity and safety?
I really think we just have dialogue. I think we talk about community leaders and doers. The doers need to come together with the doers and find out what are some low-hanging fruit that we can attack now. What can we look at right now that we can change the dynamic or change the landscape
Right.
to like build that foundation. No one wants to build a foundation on straw
Exactly.
or water, but you want to build something solid that will carry over. And a perfect example is how, Brian Dowdell actually set the foundation for David Osborne to be David Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
And I think David will be the first person to tell you that, and we needed a Brian Dowdell in our world. We needed a Herman Riddles.
Who are they? I
These
don't
are
know who
all
they are.
guys who
Older.
we looked up to, who were
Okay.
older,
Okay.
that, and again, when every situation, there's your negative guys and there's your positive guys, and you can learn from both.
Right.
You can learn from both, and I've learned that over my years. And I think if David and I can create more Jonathan Hadnotts and more David Osbornes, I'm talking about 19, 20-year-old
Right.
David Osbornes and Jonathan Hadnotts, and
Right.
build them up and mentor them into having that same type of passion and energy and effort to really,
Help us.
invest in the community and stay here. I've had opportunities to leave,
Right.
but why?
Because you like your
I
city.
love
You
I love
your
my city. So
You love Zion.
I think we have to just come together and identify low-hanging fruit,
Okay.
find out an action plan to attack that, and then just again have the doers in the room,
Okay.
and then I guess
Okay.
the talkers.
Sure. Did you have any other, words that you would like to share? And, again, we've all been doing a good job basically looking at the audience.
Right.
But is there any other words that you would like to share as a, again, you do a lot in the community. You
Right.
do work part-time at an auto store.
Right.
Thank God it wasn't your auto
Right.
store that was robbed.
Right.
You have a vested interest. So any, final words would you say as a shining star, to the community?
I just think we have to be accountable for each other. I mean,
Right.
it's one of those situations where when we're in the grocery stores, when we're out and about, let's have dialogue. Let's have a conversation. Let's not be afraid or intimidated by each other. Let's share information. Let's come together and see if we can bring these people, these offenders, to justice
Right.
that are putting this black eye on our community.
Exactly.
Especially, CNN and these guys don't come until there's a black eye.
Until it's something bad.
And so I think, the 90% of the time, we still should engage each other and find a way to have a happy medium and talk and be preventive in those, and use those measures
Right.
to pass along to our kids and people who join the community. Find out who's coming to dinner, for lack of a better term.
Right.
So that's just me. I think if we're more engaging and we're more open, and we're more, rather than counterproductive, we're I guess
Productive in
productive,
developing
like, yeah.
relationships. Okay.
That's a good point.
That was
So
good.
I just think that's something that we should do.
Okay, well, thank you, Jonathan. And David, what do we do next, and any final words?
Well, first of all, I don't want to make it seem like, we're bashing the police department, or this is all coming down to the police, because it's not.
No.
Some of the police guys, I consider them my friends. I like them. I talk to them. I see them. I shake their hands. Because I know they're good people. And that's the thing about it. I know these guys, and I know that these guys are good people. And I want these kids and some of these other people to get to know these guys and know that they're good people also.
Right.
And not just them. I got some friends in the fire department. Some of these guys are just great.
Right.
I know I've seen some of them get promoted that started off as just a paramedic, and now they're supervisors, because I've known them over these 20 years, from playing, starting off knowing each other, playing
Nice.
baseball and basketball, these guys. So under no way that falls on just them. It falls on us as parents.
Right.
It falls on us as teachers.
Right.
It falls on us as ministers,
Right.
counselors,
Right.
any person that's in authority, that's in a position that has a voice and that can talk to these kids in a
Right.
positive manner.
Right.
I know we have Black Lives Matter and everything, but you know what? All lives matter. We don't just want to cover one life. Even if there's one majority of life that's being taken, we still want to face the fact that there are lives being taken, period.
Right.
We want everyone to feel safe. We want all lives to feel protected.
That's right.
So I believe in the struggle for Black Lives Matters, but as a former military person, and I've stated, it's always been all lives matter. When I took my oath to protect this country, foreign and domestic, it didn't say just the Black lives or just the white lives.
Right.
It was all lives.
That's right.
And that didn't change just because I left the military. That's the way I live my life.
That's right.
It's not just one kid or one sex. It's all kids and all sex.
Right.
I know parents that have struggled on all ethnic backgrounds to support their children, to get them to play in the programs and stuff. And I've played for them to play, or I've gotten the money for them to play. And that's what's got to be done. And it's not just with sports.
Right.
There's other programs out there. There's chess clubs.
Right.
There's honor societies.
Right.
All these different things to keep these kids occupied. It's not just about sports. Even if the majority of them like sports, or they're either involved, they just like to be in them. But there's also other kids out there that are smart, that can win spelling contests,
That's right.
can write essays,
Right.
that they can work and get scholarships. But, we still have to be there for them and help them through it.
That's right. That's right.
Tomorrow's not promised to anyone.
That's right.
And, the bottom line is we've lived our life, as far as growing up and stuff. We're past that stage to where now we're at our midlife crisis, and these kids that are not there, we
Right.
want them to get there.
Right.
And if we live to get long to 70 and 80 years, we want to see our kids and other kids live to be just as long as that and longer.
That's right. Yeah, and we want a safe community, we want a good community, and I can really relate to what David was sharing about all lives matter, because when you think about it, what is the value of one life? One life over another life. They're all valuable, and you can't put a price on a person's life. Just like you can't put a price on a great community. And here we are representing the Zion Benton community, talking about and focusing on safety and what it is that we can do to kind of help reach out to help make our community a better place. I'm Chantel Taylor, the host of Shining Stars, and today we've had the wonderful privilege of hearing from the heart of two great men that are in the Zion-Benton community doing great things. Thank you, Jonathan Hadnott.
Thank you,
Thank you
Chantel,
so
for having
much.
me. I
And
appreciate
thank
it.
you, Mr. David Osborne. Both of you do a fantastic job bringing hope to our children and to our community. And I hope that someone can learn or have been able to just focus in on more that Zion is a great place and it's not all negative. And you were able to hear it firsthand here for yourself. So again, signing off, Chantel Taylor, Shining Stars. Thank you.